USCIS come to your house investigating if your marriage is real and what happens if they do suspect your marriage is fake.
With all of the recent super quick green card approvals and massively waived marriage green card interviews, some people relaxed and assumed that they don't need to worry about the USCIS investigating much and actually looking into the validity of their marriage. But is that actually a good idea?
In this video, we will talk about how exactly the USCIS investigate marriage fraud and what the consequences of those findings are.
You won't believe it, but it sometimes happens to real and legitimate couples, which is a real disaster.
You also need to know that when the USCIS suspects marriage fraud, even if erroneously, it easily delays your case by 1 to 3 years.
So make sure to stay until the end to learn exactly what the USCIS looks for and what you need to do to avoid these issues.
If you're new to our channel, I'm Margarita.
I'm Dixon.
And we're an immigrant couple, both lawyers and green card coaches.
We have a program that helps immigrant couples go through this process successfully, from green card all the way through naturalization.
Here's an example of one of our members who only knew each other for 4 months, but was able to follow our step-by-step approach, provide enough evidence to overcome any suspicions, and get their green card in only 63 days and without an interview.
So if you want to make sure you're doing this right and on the first try, this program is for you.
You can book a call with us using the link we've included in the description and in the comments.
And this is a very important topic, so give this video a like and be sure to subscribe so more people like you can find and use this content.
Okay, so first thing you need to know is that each field office has their own fraud unit, and here's how they work.
Let's imagine that you submit your application and the immigration officer reviewing your application has some suspicions regarding the validity of your marriage.
Which, by the way, that can happen before the interview, but it can also happen if your interview did not go as planned.
In these cases, the officer would refer your case to a fraud unit for investigation. That means a few different things. First, now you will be way more scrutinized, but it also means that you can expect immigration showing up at your place.
And yes, this is a real thing that actually happens.
Normally, they show up super early in the morning or pretty late at night to make sure you're both at home.
We've heard some crazy stories where the officers would walk from room to room, going into the laundry room, looking into a basket full of dirty laundry. It can get hardcore and weird for sure.
But the most important thing is that they're trying to see if you actually live together as a married couple. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but they would only show up if the relationship wasn't real. But trust me, they do show up when the relationship is perfectly real as well.
And you know, many couples tell us that they actually wish they were to come and investigate them, but it is a stressful process because they right away communicate to you that they're suspecting some wrongdoing here.
Another important thing to know is that they might not come to your house, but they might speak to your employer. We've seen some cases where the immigration officer showed up at the US citizen's place of work, which was very stressful and honestly somewhat embarrassing to say the least.
They also like talking to your neighbors and your landlord to make sure your lease is up to date and everybody is aware of your life together.
And that's why submitting a few pictures of you two together with your joint bank account statements is certainly not enough information in these cases. And we will talk about evidence in just a second, but for now, let's talk about what happens if the USCIS finds the marriage to be fraudulent. And keep in mind, they sometimes try to claim fraud even when there's no fraud.
First thing you need to know is that if the USCIS makes a 204C determination, you will be permanently barred from ever becoming a permanent resident, and your case might be transferred to immigration court to begin deportation proceedings, and your defenses in these cases are super limited.
The way this normally happens in practice is that the couple would be invited for an interview and then be separated. From there, the officers like to apply pressure and stress to the US citizen or the petitioner, basically scaring them with a huge fine and prison sentence for engaging in immigration fraud.
Sounds totally bizarre, but if you speak to any immigration lawyer, they can tell you many crazy stories that make no sense where couples found themselves in these situations when they were not supposed to be there.
Here's an important point and something for you to understand. If the government finds marriage fraud in your case, you're totally screwed. But if they make a determination that your marriage isn't bona fide, that's different and you will be able to try again.
Okay, so how do you avoid these issues altogether? First, obviously, don't engage in marriage fraud.
It's so easy to tell, literally 5 minutes into a conversation, and obviously those immigration officers are super trained in identifying red flags. And let's be honest, this is the entire point of their job.
To make sure immigration benefits are going to those who actually qualify, and it should go without saying that a real marriage is a major requirement.
But before we move on to tell you how exactly the USCIS will evaluate your case and the fraud indicators you need to avoid, There are 3 super important ways to avoid being accused of marriage fraud.
First, you need to make sure you're prepared your application materials perfectly. Mistakes in your case will begin to put you on the USCIS radar and in a negative way. And additionally, you don't want the time waste and headaches of dealing with errors either.
Remember, the burden of proof is on you to show that you qualify for these immigration benefits. Not knowing how things work is not an excuse.
Trust us, doing this well and correct on the first try is exactly how members of our method are getting approvals in months and without dreaded interviews.
Second, you want to make sure that everything you're submitting to the USCIS makes sense.
This means that they can completely and easily understand your relationship and current situation. Anything you put into your application that makes the officer confused or need to look deeper will only serve to begin setting off alarm bells in their minds.
And this, of course, includes the evidence you submit and how that evidence connects and flows, and the conclusions it would lead someone to make about you both and your relationship.
And third, you want to be able to easily go to the interview if you're scheduled for one and answer all questions no problem. That means knowing your case and application materials inside and out. You will want to know your dates, the evidence you provided, the answers you selected, and be able to quickly address the officer's questions and concerns.
That is why it makes absolute sense to handle your application yourself without entrusting it to someone else. Literally, no one cares about your case as much as you do.
No way you're going to make a mistake in your own name or date of birth.
We understood this so well when we were going through our own process, and that's how we designed our marriage immigration method.
By following our approach, you will become an expert in your own case and in this process.
You're welcome to apply today using the links below.
All right, now to the 4 things that the USCIS will investigate in your case.
First, they will look into general behavioral fraud indicators. As we mentioned earlier, the USCIS is trained to recognize the behavior of those in fake marriages.
So you can relax if you've been worried about being nervous, because general nervousness is to be expected and definitely wouldn't rise to the level of stress you'd have if your marriage was fake.
Second, the USCIS lists a number of what they call other general behavioral fraud indicators. The leaked USCIS document provides 14 indicators of fraud under this category.
Some of these indicators include over-submissions of information, proactive explicit and staged photos, as well as receiving oddly timed submissions of information.
To learn about this leaked document and all of the fraud indicators, we made a detailed video completely breaking down everything here.
Third, there are I-130 family-based petition fraud indicators. So this is where the USCIS is evaluating your application materials. This is why it is so important to prepare an error-free and properly structured application, complete with great evidence that is coherent and effectively shows the legitimacy of your relationship.
And finally, the USCIS has another section called Other Fraud Indicators Identified. So what are they looking for here? Who knows, since this portion of their document is blank?
This is where the officer has the freedom to list anything they think indicates fraud. So do you see how preparing a solid case is much more than filling out the forms and providing evidence? You need to be thoughtful, well-structured, and effectively communicate your real relationship.
And if you do that and properly follow USCIS guidelines, you have the chance to shave off a lot of time in this process and avoid some of the most stressful aspects like the interview.
Our members are getting through this process with lightning speed because they're not wasting time researching. They're following our step-by-step instructions, reaching out to support from us and other members when they need it, and are getting real results.
So what are you waiting for? The link to chat with us is in the description below and in the comments.
Thank you so much for watching.
Subscribe, click the bell, comment, and we look forward to seeing you next time.